Hello everyone, in this video we are just going to develop periodic schedulers using hardware timers of STM32F446RE microcontroller. Let's get started. Until the last video, we just developed these four tasks: task 0, task 1, task 2 and task 3. And all these tasks are running in round robin scheduler, and among those these two tasks, task 1 and task 2, are normal round robin task or thread, and this task 0 is a cooperative task. Since we are releasing the processor as soon as the process of incrementing inside the task 0 is complete, and this task 3 is actually a periodic task. That is why we are not having while of 1 right over here. Periodic task meaning, as the name says, this particular task will be executed only for a fixed period of 100 milliseconds. As you can see, this is the task switcher. We are here checking for the periodic tick for 100, that is 100 value, and if it is 100 we are calling this task and clearing the periodic tick, and current pointer variable is loaded with the next pointer, and this particular function is called inside the systic handler right over here. So in assembly we called this, and remember this particular systic handler runs for 10 millisecond interrupt. So for every 10 milliseconds in our processor, this particular systic handler will be implemented or will be called. So for every 10 milliseconds when the systic handler is called, inside the systic handler we are just calling this rtos scheduler RR function. So we are checking and incrementing the periodic tick for every 10 millisecond. So 10 millisecond into 100 will provide us 1000 milliseconds. So for every 1000 millisecond, that is for every 1 second, we are calling this task 3. Sorry, for every 1 second we are calling this task 3. So this periodic task 3 is running for every 1 second using the systic handler. Every 1 second once this particular task 3 will be executed and this particular variable will be incremented. So now in this video we are just going to implement periodic task, same periodic task or thread using hardware peripheral timers of STM32F446RE. From the data sheet you can see we have this much hardware timers inside the STM32F446RE. Among that, let's try to configure the timer 2, which is connected to APB1 bus. So for that, here I am just going to create a function called, or function definition for initializing the timer 2. So timer 2 init. So these are all the things that we want to follow for initializing the timer 2. First one is enable the clock access to timer 2. From the data sheet we found that timer 2 is connected to APB1 bus. So in the reset and clock control chapter of user manual of STM32F446RE, under the RCC registers, go to the APB1 ENR, since it is connected to APB1 peripheral. So this register, you can see bit number 0 is TIM2 enable. So enabling or setting this particular bit number 0 in this register will enable the clock of timer 2 peripheral. So here the pointer for timer 2 is TIM2. Using that pointer, point to the, this is RCC register, so pointer is RCC. You can point to APB1 ENR and you can set to the bit number 0. This will enable the clock of TIM2. And next thing is we just want to set the prescaler for the timer. So prescaler is nothing but a number which will help you to further divide the frequency of timer. So by default the timer 2 will run at 16 megahertz, that is the frequency of the system clock. And when you want to reduce that further, you can use a prescaler number for dividing that frequency. So let's say The register for loading that prescaler is PSC. Let's say if I want to add the number 16,000 minus 1 to the prescaler register, what will happen here is system clock is 16 megahertz divided by 16,000 will provide me the value 1000. As you can see, 1000. So the timer 2 will run at 1000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. So the time period of timer 2 will be 1 divided by 1000, that is 0.001 second or 1 millisecond. So for every 1 millisecond, this particular timer 2 will have one tick counter incremented. So this is how the prescaler will be set as per your requirement. As per your requirement, you can add the number whatever you want right over here. And the next thing is auto reload register. Auto reload register is nothing but the ARR register, and this register also carries a number up to which the timer wants to run. So let's give the number here to be 100 minus 1. So this minus 1 right over here is nothing but the timer always starts with 0. So we are subtracting the minus 1 from the actual value that we want to feed into PSC and ARR register. So since the timer is starting from 0, 0 is also considered. So we want to load 15,999 instead of 16,000. So that is why we are adding minus 1. Here we want to load 99 instead of 100. So that is why we are adding minus 1 right over here. So here this AR register is nothing but the counter value at which you want the interrupt to occur. So here we just calculated and found for every 1 millisecond the timer will tick, and we just want to define at which time the timer to interrupt must interrupt the processor. That time is defined by this particular value right over here in AR register, that is auto reload register. Timer starts from 0. For every 1 millisecond the timer will increment its counter value, and when it reaches 100, that is the value of ARR right over here, it will interrupt the processor, and again it will start from counter value 0. So this is what happens, and this is the basic operation of timer 2. And the next thing that we want to do here is clear the counter value of timer 2. So TIM2, we want to go to the CNT register and we want to provide the value 0. The next is we just want to enable the timer. So coming to the user manual, go to the control register of timer peripheral, and in this control register you can clearly see the bit number 0 is counter enable of timer. You just want to set this bit number 0 to be 1 for enabling the timer. So here I am just using the same pointer TIM2 for pointing to CR1, and I am going to enable bit number 0, and then we just want to enable the interrupt for timer peripheral. So go to the user manual and go to the DIER register, that is the DMA interrupt enable register. So here the bit number 0 is nothing but UIE, that is update interrupt enable bit. If setting this particular bit will enable the timer 2 interrupt. So again I am just going to do the same thing except in DIER register. And finally here in the NVIC we just want to enable the timer 2 IRQ. So this will enable the NVIC interrupt of timer 2 peripheral. And from the startup file, now we wanted to implement the timer 2 interrupt handler function. So go to the startup folder. Inside the startup folder you can find the .s startup file. Here search for TIM2. You can see this is the interrupt handler function or interrupt subroutine function for timer 2. So here I am just going to define the function of interrupt handler in the main.c file. Before implementing the timer interrupt file, let me just extend the scope of this timer 2 init function in the rtos kernel.h file, and I will call this particular timer 2 init inside the main function of main.c file after the urtx init. So the timer 2 in peripheral will be initialized. Coming to the timer 2 IRQ handler, the first thing that we want to do right over here is clear the update flag. So clearing the update flag meaning coming to the SR status register of timer 2, we just want to set the bit number 0 right over here. So setting this particular bit will update the interrupt pending. This bit is set by hardware when the registers are updated, and overflow or underflow is detected when it is 1. And when it is 0, no update occurred. So when the interrupt occurs, this particular flag will be raised by the processor. So clearing this particular flag indicates that no update occurred in the timer interrupt. So we can do that by clearing that bit number 0 in SR register, and then I'm just going to do a basic operation. Let's take it to be incrementing of a variable named tperiodic task4 runner. Here I'm just declaring that variable tperiodic task4 runner. That's it. We have initialized the timer 2 here in the main, and the interrupt handler for timer 2 is implemented right over here. Let me just clean project and build project. So as I mentioned, these two, task 1 and task 2, are normal round robin task or thread which will run for a quanta time of 10 milliseconds each, and this task 0 also runs for quanta time, except that this is in a cooperative manner since we are releasing the processor after the incrementing operation. So for every quanta time of 10 milliseconds once only, this particular task 0 will be executed, but task 1 and task 2 will be executed throughout 10 millisecond quanta time completely. And task 3 is a periodic task which will be executed for every 1 second once, and this timer 2 IRQ handler will be executed for 100 millisecond once as per our calculation done right over here. For every 1 millisecond, the timer will be ticking. When the timer 2 counter value reaches 100 value, that is 100 millisecond, the timer 2 interrupt will be interrupting the processor, or the timer 2 peripheral will be interrupting the processor, and it will be executing this timer 2 IRQ handler. And inside that we are incrementing this. So for every 100 millisecond this will be executed, for every 1 second this will be incremented, and round robin schedulers, these two tasks, task 0, task 1 will be executed. Task 1, task 2 will be executed completely for quanta time of 10 milliseconds, and task 0 will be implemented once for every quanta time of 10 millisecond, only once for every quanta time of 10 millisecond. So build is successful. Now I'm just moving to the debug view of cube IDE. So I have added the variable right over here. I'm running this program. You can see the timer is running for 100 milliseconds and timer 3 is running at 1 second, and these two tasks are executed completely for 10 millisecond quanta times completely, and this is executed once for every 10 millisecond quanta time. So it is a little bit slow, and these two are very much faster because it is completely executed for 10 millisecond quanta time, and task 3 is executed for 1 second once periodically, so it is incrementing slowly, and the task 4 is executed in timer 2 for every 100 milliseconds, so it is bit longer than task 3. So I hope you understood how interrupt handler can be implemented, and it can be useful for running a thread in the real-time operating system of round robin scheduler in this particular video. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.